Have you ever wanted to use an oracle deck, but you're like so intimidated by them because there's just stacks and stacks at the bookstore or the crystal shop or whatever? Today, let's take some of the guesswork out of it. I have four brand new cellophane wrapped oracle decks sitting in front of me, and I thought I would review all four and at the same time show you how to do readings for yourself. I'm Emily Snyder. I'm a psychic medium for pets and for people. And today we're going to do a little bit of intuitive homework where we look at four different oracle decks and the readings that come from each and every one of them. Where should we start? I guess we're starting with this one. I've picked out the Life Happens deck. How did I pick out these decks? I went to a bookstore and picked out anything that kind of spoke to me. So the first thing I like to do when I get a brand new deck is hold it in my hands. Now, I like to kind of sit in the power and imbue the energy of spirit into the deck and ask for that energy, that intelligence to give me answers based on the cards that are here. One of the main reasons why I like to use oracle decks is that it helps when you're working on yourself. So if you've got a question that you don't feel like you can answer with your own intuition, your head's getting in the way, you're too emotionally involved, sometimes it's nice to have a deck of cards to ask that question to kind of clarify or limit the response. This deck, the Life Happens deck, actually does not have a book. That's a surprise to me. Usually they have a book. Sometimes it's good to do a really good shuffle where you really mix up the cards so you know you're not getting two in the same order. I also like to take a peek at some of the cards as well. This deck seems to have like a lot of singular sayings. So, and they're kind of funny. We've got anger management and secrets and longing. Very colorful. I like that about decks. Definitely some positives and some negatives, and it's open to interpretation. So when I get a deck like this, I know that I'm going to use my own intuition as I'm pulling the cards in order to get the full reading versus, for instance, a language that's already established with something like tarot or a full book or astrology or something along those lines. The topic of the reading for today is about my foot. We're using something somewhat neutral. I had surgery about 4 months ago and I'm still in the middle of recovery and just went to the doctor and they were basically like, slow down. And I had this surgery as kind of like a Hail Mary surgery to see if I could run again because I've had trouble and pain running for the last couple of years. That's a little backstory. What I want to know is, am I going to run again? What's standing in my way, etc. So we're going to use a 3-card spread. The first card is going to be the situation. The second card is going to be information. And then the third card is going to be the resolution. We're going to use that setup for all 4 decks today. How do you pick the cards? So I like to give it a really good shuffle and then kind of feel into my own energy and think, is it done? Once I feel like it's done, I stop. Then I kind of ask the card, show me the first, second, and third card. So in this case, I'm getting, this is our first card. Our second card's here in the middle. And our third card is last. My first card is nurturing. So the situation right now with my foot is nurturing. I'm going to now look at this card and the colors and kind of see what the image means to me. So for here, this looks like I've got a tree and I have kind of one very prominent feather or, yeah, it looks like a feather coming out of the top. Almost like we're still in the stage of nurturing this injury, which is definitely true. So that definitely checks. I also noticed for myself here that there's roots that are planted down, and it does feel for me like this is a bit of a grounding exercise being slowed down by my foot, so that checks as well. So I'm looking at the picture here and kind of understanding for myself what I'm intuiting from the image that's here and the word that's here. Sometimes it's one word or sometimes it's a couple. So nurturing really does feel like it checks. So now this is the information about my foot. Hopeful. Oh goodness, yes. I am so hopeful. Hope in a jar. I love this one because this image makes me feel so hopeful, but also there's light. And I will tell you that it has felt like there's no light at the end of the tunnel with this. So this definitely checks that the information I need to know is that I need to remain hopeful about my foot. Now, the last card is going to be like, what's the resolution? Defense mechanism. Oh my, that is quite the card. So it is, I would say this is a rather dark card, that this is saying like I'm on the defensive or I'm Maybe that running is a defense mechanism. Okay, that's definitely checking. I feel that in my body, like, yes, that's what it is. So maybe that I'm seeing this shield as almost like a wall in my way, and there's a crack in the wall. And maybe that's not exactly what I want. So that's what I'm feeling into this energy. So right now I'm nurturing, there's hope, but maybe that's not the outcome I'm wanting. Let's work on deck number 2. Deck number 2 is the Prism Oracle deck. So this one is tap into your intuition with the magic of color. Now, doing all the painting I've been doing lately, this really does check for me about wanting color to speak to more of our emotional selves. Right, this one's a little tricky to open. It's a beautiful box, though. It's kind of got like this prism here at the edge, and I can tell the cards are going to be really shiny and lovely. I would also just check out the back and the packaging, because sometimes it gives you kind of a taste of what the cards are going to look like. So in this case, it looks like they're rather colorful but simplistic in their drawing, and that does speak to me because I like to have an open to interpretation deck. Some of them are a little bit more prescriptive. All right, this one does come with a guidebook, so I'm going to set this just to the side and I'll explain how I use that. Oh, these are beautiful cards. They're kind of like holographic on the side and then just run the rainbow gambit. So as I mentioned, and they're kind of really sticky. With decks like this, I like to kind of bend them and make them feel like they're part of my hands are doing some of the work and the energy of my body is being transferred into the cards. I like decks that feel worn and that like they're used and loved and all those types of things. You can also shuffle them like a deck of cards, depending on the card though. Some of them are hard. Let's see if we can. Nice. Oh, these are absolutely stunning cards. I think these cards are already speaking to me and I'm already giving them an A+ review. So anytime I do a reading with a brand new deck, I don't look at the guidebook until the very end. The reason is I want to feel into the energy of the cards, feel into my own energy, interpret it myself, and then open the guidebook. So we're going to do the same card spread: situation, information, and outcome. This one told me it was just 1, 2, 3, easy peasy. First card, surrender, and in gray and lots of circles. I definitely feel that. So where are we right now in my foot journey? We're surrendering. Like the other deck, this was all about nurturing, surrendering, being exactly where we're at. So that checks. The second one, this is information, space. Give yourself some space. I love that there's literally nothing on this card except dark gray. Now let's ask about the third card. Flow. Interesting. This to me does not feel like running. This flow to me feels like swimming. Like maybe an alternative is in my future. It's not maybe going back to running. If I surrender and give it space, I might find flow. So now I'm going to use my guidebook and see what the author has to say. So sometimes these are rather lengthy or wordy, and I like to kind of skim and pull out words without reading every single one. And the words that tend to jump out at me are the ones that really resonate. So let's try surrender. Now, sometimes they're organized by number. This one appears to be organized by color, which is kind of awesome. So you can see here, it's like every color has a section. This gray card is actually in the white section, so surrender. So the words that I pull out here are creating peace with yourself. Now that you are free, what can you do? Now we're into this black section here. Okay, so this is saying basically you might feel a little lost. The sentence in here that really jumps out to me is, what is it that you're looking to fill your life with? Because for me, running was such a big part of my life for so many years. So this is basically saying, what do you want to fill your life with now that you've had the surgery? Now, flow looks like it's probably green. Now it's a teal color. So let's try the green section. Then we may have to go to blue. Yeah, it looks like maybe it's blue. Oh, it is blue. This is actually blue, as one would expect, staying in the flow in a reference to water. I had read this as like swimming, like maybe you want to try swimming, but it's not really, that's not what the card is necessarily saying. I think that kind of checks. It's saying changing and adapting to a situation, and rather than fighting against it, to go with the flow. And also just noting that the one thing in here that really felt resonant to me is that going with the flow, you're following a current, and a current can be very strong. So I think that's important for me to kind of understand, is that the future could still be strong without that big part of my life in it. I think both of these decks so far have given me a somewhat similar reading. This deck is kind of the opposite of the last one. So the last one we had that was just like solid colors. This one is all like flora, fauna, and is quite beautiful. It is called the Arcana Folio Oracle deck. I picked this deck out of the store because it looks like the forest, and I love going out into the trees and the forest fauna, etc. It like really speaks to me. And when I saw the back of this card deck and just the fact that these were circular cards too, I don't have a circular card deck, and for whatever reason that just also was like, I would really like that. Listen to the whispers, let them guide you. This is so pretty. The inside of here is so lovely. All right, so this one does come with a guidebook as well, so we'll set that to the side. And oh my, these are also saran wrapped in here. Oh, I've never used a circular deck. I'm so excited for this one. This is stunning. This deck is stunning. So far, I have one card and it says creativity, and oh, look at that. So lovely. Now, some people talk about like clearing out your decks or like that there's energy in them that you want to get rid of. I've never personally felt that. I've always felt like my intention, okay, Spirit, I would like to use these cards to give me answers about my life's questions, has been enough. I've never felt the urgency to clean them. I'm just going to give them a little bit of a wiggle. First card. This one feels like we got to go digging. Now I'm paying attention to kind of how my body feels as I pick these cards, and now it's saying to me you need to shuffle a little bit more. Like this last card's important, but it's somewhat buried. Okay, now this one almost jumped out, and it's saying to me that these two cards need to be read together. Sometimes you'll get a card that jumps out, or you get two together, or you feel like there's a second answer, or there's more to be said. Just follow that. Follow that tiny little lead. It never does you wrong. Warrior spirit here. This to me feels very much like stand your ground, hold tight. This is again a bit like surrender or nurture, stay where you are. We're getting the same card kind of in different languages each time. Healthy choices, choose wildly. So this is a little bit different. So this is basically saying choose your health over anything else. Really does speak to me. I've had a lot of health issues in addition to my foot lately, and I have been trying to clean up my diet, but sometimes I just want something sweet. So this is just a reminder to myself of like information to heal your foot is to continue to eat well. These last two cards, let's turn them over both at the same time and see why. Ooh, I have protection and gossip. So you are protected, but word spreads fast. That's a very interesting thing. So what is the outcome? You are protected, but word spreads fast. To be honest with you, I'm a little confused by this gossip card. It doesn't really 100% resonate with me. The protection does. Like it feels like the outcome of this is that I'm protected against future problems with my foot. That was one of the other reasons, that as I aged, I was a bit worried that the foot problem would become bigger. So this protection card really resonates with me. I'm confused about the gossip card. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to open up the guidebook and just read through and see if anything comes to me that's standing out a little bit. So as one would expect, this warrior spirit is about standing your ground and like essentially taking a firm stance on the matter and not wavering and being cautious not to blame someone. I don't know that I necessarily have blamed anyone about my foot, but it's just like basically stand tall. Interestingly, it says like social media restriction and detox and making healthy choices. So this pull is a little puzzling to me. And to be honest, this is not quite what I expected, but it's kind of getting there. What the guidebook is talking about is basically calling back your own energy and that you're protected from other people's negative energy. I don't know that I necessarily have felt that with this foot situation. I have a very supportive group of ladies I like to run with, and I don't know that I've ever felt anyone being negative towards me, but it's saying also to turn the negative into a positive. I think that's the sentence out of the whole guidebook that makes the most sense to me, is like this negative situation with my foot could eventually turn into something positive. And then let's read this last one about gossip. This one has confounded me. Okay, it really does have to do with literal gossip. So I guess I'm not quite understanding this in reference to the outcome of my foot. So the reading from this deck was kind of what I was expecting, but a lot of surprises here that I'm not sure quite resonate. Now, anytime I start with a new deck, sometimes you feel it. The energy's vibing and you totally understand and everything's making complete sense. And then sometimes you're like, this is wonky and I don't quite get it. What I would do in this scenario is maybe wait a day, come back, ask the same questions and see if I get kind of the same response or something completely different. If it just keeps not checking for me, like every time I'm pulling, it's not really making sense or I'm not jiving with the answers, maybe this isn't the deck for me. It's definitely the deck for someone, but I'm not going to throw it away based on one reading. Now, the fourth deck I got purely for humor's sake. This is the Dead Inside deck. I wanted to do one that was hilarious, which is what it says on the front, and just give myself, a deck for those days where you're just like, what the heck's going on? You know, the world's energy is crazy right now. I need a deck that's going to make me laugh. On the cover, it has this like little 404 error, you know, like with a website. Basically, it's telling me that this deck is broken already before I've even started. It has a bit of a smell to it. It smells kind of like glue, which I wasn't expecting. This one also has no guidebook, so we're just on our own here. Let me see what the back says. Yeah, it just says, feel seen, feel dead inside, feel better. Quite a tagline. I just ask Spirit to use these cards, as funny as they are, to give us a reading about my foot and my foot situation. Whoops, we've got some jumpers. All right, so before we do anything else, we're going to look at our jumpers. I already know this is going to be fun. Mercury did it. Miscommunication, cosmic excuse, retrograde to blame. Vanished while meditating, mind fog, awareness collapse. And even your spirit guide quit. Disillusionment and abandonment. So these guys just jumped right out like, hey, we already are telling you this deck is crap. Oh, they just keep jumping out of the deck. I guess that's not our reading today. They don't want to be part of it. Let's try the same thing. 3 cards. Situation, information, outcome. Being too much again. Rejection, overexpression, or shame. So being too much again. Foot surgery being too much again. Yeah, I mean, it was too much. This is actually kind of funny. It's that my foot grew like extra cartilage and bone in it. So it literally was like too much in my foot that they had to get rid of. That's funny, actually. More information about this. Calling it a phase. Minimization, escapism, or self-deception. It's just a phase. Mirrors the space card we got with the colors, or hope. Like, this is also, we got space and hope as that second card in those first 2 pulls. Calling it a phase. It's almost like we're containing it into only a certain portion of my life. This, in the other one, was make healthy choices. Again, I'm not quite sure about that reading. So let's move on to card number 3. This card literally says there's a sale on shoes. So I think this is just like supposed to be funny for me, of like, you can't buy running shoes. Noise, panic, sensory bombardment. I think this is basically telling me running is going to be too much. I had this inclination, but let's just see if this is really true. I feel like this deck has one more card for me because I keep getting this pull. What is this last card about? They're telling me this last card is up further into the future, like not immediately, but like later. So let's see. Social battery at 0, drained, antisocial, and shut down. So this is later. Like, you did all the things you were supposed to do. Just shut down. Go to bed. Just go to bed. I kind of needed this. No, they're still saying there's one more in here for me. So this is what they want me to do right now. Another easy 3-card spread you can do is past, present, future. And it's almost like this deck is asking for that. So invited but not wanted. Oh, oops, I double booked myself. I definitely feel double booked with physical therapy, all the exercises, trying to stay healthy, doing all the things right. And this is basically saying you've overbooked yourself. Slow down. So what did you think of our 3-card spread today? You can do this with a variety of different spreads. You can do a 1-card pull every single day. You can do a 5-card spread to kind of get unstuck. I encourage everyone to go out to a bookstore or crystal shop, pick up a deck, see if it speaks to you. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't, and work with it over time. There are definitely decks where I'm like, I love this deck for every single thing. I will ask it questions every single day. And then there are decks that don't really check, and that's okay. And you don't have to use them. Interesting to have multiple versions of things to go to in times of need to help kind of clarify your own intuitive work. And that's it for my 4 Oracle deck review. Thank you so much for joining me today. Join me over at Connected Intuition for more videos just like this.